boy, what an
My
episode.
Christmas present to you is I'm not going to interrupt you this week when you introduce.
Thank you.
So when he says action, I'm just going to shut up.
All right, here we go. Welcome to Stand Up Memories. I'm Peter
Did you
Bales.
say action?
He did say action. You didn't hear it.
Oh.
We clipped the board and we clapped it or whatever you do. And now it's another episode of
You could talk to the guests.
Stand Up Memories. Peter Bales, Jackie the Joke Man, Martling, and a terrific guest. An old friend, so funny, a true pro comedian. Billy Garan is
Now,
here.
why would you look at me and hammer those two words?
Because he's professional. Man shows up. He does the job.
Is this a reflection of me being late?
You were a little bit, but we knew you were fine. We knew you were on your way.
Is he always late, Jackie? Does he show up on time?
Bales is usually late.
No,
When I had a phone call from him in my car, I almost turned around. Thanks for doing the show, Billy. It's nice to see you.
Good to see you too, Jackie.
You know, the last time I saw you, I'm pretty sure it was you. You opened for Dion.
That's the last time I saw you was at Westbury, the Westbury Music Theater, which is now something else. But I was opening for that night with Dion.
You were great, and I loved Dion. It was a splendid night. Splendid night.
Splendid night. And this is a splendid comedian. And I must describe to our audience, he is rapid fire, boom, 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 anything goes, laugh after laugh. You should try it.
You know, Jackie was actually, you know what? I would say that I was probably cut from the same cloth as Jackie. You know, I came up from that. It's a very old school delivery. All right. What I do is old school and I love it. It comes out and it's boom, 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 boom. And I've been told, you know, I go on cruise ships a lot. I work on cruise ships and these guys see all these acts. They don't see acts like me and Jackie anymore. I mean, you know, I went up there, the guy goes to me, wow, he goes, I didn't even know anybody did that anymore. I mean, you know, and I'm not talking about the jokes. I'm talking about the pace, the patter, the bang, bang, bang. You know, these comics, I see them in clubs and nothing against it. You know, it's more of a contemporary stand-up, but guys are up there and they're walking back and forth.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's not so much now, but it was deemed kind of uncool. Like, what are you doing? Going for laughs? Yeah. You know,
Exactly.
That's the
Exactly.
job. That's the job.
Well, what you guys don't do is tell stories, and you've got laugh after laugh after laugh, and you say old school. I immediately thought of Phyllis Diller, of course, who was in the style of Bob Hope, and she spoke openly about wanting to get 4 or 5 laughs a minute. A minute. What a high standard. And you're not messing around.
You know, I wrote for her.
Phyllis Diller?
I wrote for Phyllis Diller.
I drove her around.
And I got the form to submit jokes to Ms. Diller. And it said, and A jokes get $3 and B jokes get $1, which I thought was a joke. And I sent her a bunch of stuff and I still have it. She sent me a check for $13.
Wow.
4 A gags and 1 B gag. And I actually wrote to her. I actually wrote back and say, there must be some mistake. I got a check for you for $13. She wrote back, like, no mistake. That's what I'm, you know.
Really?
But I mean, even in 1975 or in 1980, that still was a minuscule amount of money.
No, back then they were paying $50 a joke, right?
Right? Rodney
did, you know.
Paid $50
how much
a
was
joke.
Rodney paying? $50 a joke?
Yeah, $50 a joke. And then it went up later, didn't it?
I don't know.
When we all got started doing comedy, we all had to have day jobs because there wasn't that much around yet, and we weren't that good enough yet to get all the work we wanted. So I needed to pick a job that had basically the job had to have flexible hours. I could make my own hours. So I got a job driving limousines. And my boss he loved what I did. He loved the fact that I did comedy. And I got away with so much crap on that job. I remember I would always make my boss laugh. And one guy did something one night. I forget what it was, but he did something that the boss said. He said, "You ever do that again?" He goes, "You're fired." And the guy goes, "Billy does it all the time." And the boss goes, "Billy makes me laugh and you don't."
All right.
That's how I got away with that. But so one night, okay, I got a preliminary with a couple other stories about the limousine job. So anyway, I was doing limousines. So one night, my boss calls me and says, "Listen," he says, "I want you to pick up." He said, "I want you to do a job for me tonight." And I said, "I can't. I got a job. I'm working. It's my first paying
Is
job."
this on Long Island, Manhattan, New Jersey?
No, the limousine company was in Jersey, and it was always on the verge of bankruptcy. And it was in the back of a dollar rent-a-car lot. They had a little trailer that a drunken guy sat in there all night drinking and giving out jobs.
Ah,
The guy was amazing. He was drunk all the time, and he'd go, "You got to get over to the airport now." All right. And as long as he didn't drive, they were happy. They just kept him in there, and he did his job. So he says to me one night, my boss says, "Listen, he says, you got to go pick up this guy for me at JFK or take him to JFK." I said, "I can't. I'm working at Pip's Comedy Club tonight. I got a gig at Pip's." And he goes, "Oh, I heard of that place." He goes, "This is even better for you." I go, "For me?" He goes, "How's it?" He goes, "You're going to take my car. You're going to go to Morristown, New Jersey, pick up Mr. Bobo, pick this guy up and drive him to JFK. You're going to keep my car, drive from JFK to Pips, do the show at Pips, and then come home, pick up your car, drop off my car. You get paid to do two jobs. How can you beat that?" He goes, "You get paid to do the comedy gig and the limo job." I go, "That's perfect." So I go pick up this guy at his house. I take him to JFK. Now I got this giant limo to stretch. I pull up the Pips in the stretch limo. I pull up the Pips, and Marty, who was running, Marty was this, Marty Schultz was the owner, him and his brother at this time, because I think the father had retired. And Marty goes, "What is this?" And I go, "It's my other job." And he goes, "All right, just leave it right where it is, because between shows, you're going to take me to Nedick's and we're going to have hot dogs in the limo." I said, "Okay." So we did the show, finished the show. Between shows, me and Marty took the limo and we sat in the back and had hot dogs at Nedick's.
Well, that's the best. That is life.
that's fun.
You should tell our audience, Pips was a small, really tiny club right on the water in Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn, where a lot of people,
in the grand scheme of things nowadays, it wasn't tiny.
it wasn't super tiny, but it was
small.
pretty small. And a lot of people got their start there,
It was
including
the
Rodney
first. It was
Dangerfield,
the first
Joan
paying
Rivers.
job. It was, we all worked in Manhattan at the time. You would get like $5 to do, a comedy night. You would go to the Improv. You would go to any of these clubs. Most of them paid like $5 or $10 to do a set. You got cab fare basically to go to, But Pips paid, and I think they paid $35 to do like a Friday night.
Yeah, it was amazing. Speaking about the small pay for writing jokes, they had a framed picture on the wall with signed checks from Joan Rivers, Robert
Yeah.
Klein, Rodney Dangerfield,
Brenner.
Steve Landisberg, people like
Jose
that.
Feliciano, they used some singing act. I think Jose Feliciano was on that wall and some other people too. And Rodney, all those checks were from those people that had played there.
And the checks were for $10 and at the most $15.
Yes.
You
But
know,
My claim to fame with Pips is I worked there one weekend and my album had just come out and I sold like 15 of my albums for $5 each. And I thought, I'm going to be so rich. I never sold that many again, ever. They never hired me again. And 20 years later, or 15 years later, I was in Atlantic City with Rip Taylor and Freddie Stoller came to say hello. And he said, "Hey, it's nice to meet you. I'm a comic too. Hi, how you doing?" I said, he said, "What's your name?" And I said, "I'm Jackie Martling." And he said, "Oh, you're the guy that can't work Pips because you drink too much." I said, "How is that possible? The place is a den of iniquity. It's coke and pot and everything, It was kind of like a badge of honor to be banned from Pips for drinking."
Were you drunk that night? Is that what?
I think I was pretty drunk. The problem is Pips is a 6-beer drive from Bayville. You
Yeah.
know, so by the time I got there, I'd be fried. You know, I wasn't really using my head. It's a miracle I'm still alive.
You know, Andrew Dice Clay used to come into Pips with his mother. You know, he
Andrew
started out
Dice
there.
Clay used to work under his real name, which I think was, I forget his real name, but he did a totally different act. He did
Who
like
dies? Andrew Silverstein. Oh, but he did Buddy Love, right?
yeah, yeah.
Jerry Lewis.
I never saw him do that at that point. I had never seen him, but I know that I had heard those stories.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
we did a movie. It was funny. We did a movie at Pips, and the movie was about throwing a concert to, to raise the money to save a club. But meanwhile, they're making the movie to try and save Pips. And somebody had a limo, and it was like Woody Allen and Pat Cooper and Colin Quinn, a whole bunch of us. But they had one limo. So the limo would pull up and drop off the celebrity and the videotape and then go around the block and bring somebody else. It was hysterical. It was so funny.
They had
I'll
Woody
tell you.
Allen.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
One night,
Woody Allen was really good friends with this guy, Michael Green, who was his cameraman, but he was the director of photography. You know, the way movies work is the director and the photography, blah, blah, blah. And when it's a smaller thing, the good directors drop out and the good director of photography. And so the lower guys go up. So Michael Green was the cameraman and Woody was his best. And Woody Allen was great friends with Ray Garvey. Did you know that?
yes, I knew
Ray
that.
Garvey, he was in like 10 of his movies.
Yes, Ray Garvey was in a lot of Woody Allen movies. Tell everybody at home who Ray Garvey is.
He owned Pips.
Ray Garvey owned Pips after, I guess, did the Schultz sell it to Ray?
Brothers,
Was that
yes.
what happened? Because
I
I was
believe so.
already living out in LA when all that took place. So I don't know, you know, and then Ray took it over, and then Ray eventually became the showrunner at the Borgata Comedy Club.
Right.
That's correct.
But
And
I
he
don't know
would-
the transition from the Schultzes to Ray. I don't know if that was a sale or they just passed it on, you know, because
Yeah, and Ray ain't around, we can't ask him anymore.
But you've been working forever, just like Jackie and I have, and you've had wonderful experiences, but not every stand-up experience is wonderful. Any horrible nights come to mind?
Oh yeah, you know what? Let me tell you something, and you guys know this. You for every night that you had where people loved you and you got a standing ovation, you'll never remember those. The ones that are burned in your mind were
That's
the
right.
nights that you did where you tanked it and bombed it and it went really, really bad.
or if you kill, you remember the guy that didn't laugh.
Yeah.
You know, the same thing, you know, same thing.
That doesn't bother me as much as the bad nights, and we've all had the bad nights. I remember one night we were at, do you remember Mr. Rip's Comedy Club?
Yes.
Please.
Okay, Mr. Rip's Comedy Club was in where was
Valley
that?
Cottage.
And wait a minute, what was the name of it? What was the name of it?
It was Valley Cottage, which was right next to Nyack.
Nyack, that's where it was.
And what was
Nyack,
it
New
called
York.
before it was Mr.
It was
Rips?
Dubonnet,
Dubonnet.
and then it became Mr. Rips.
Now you got to set this up for your viewing audience, okay? That Mr. Rips was a house. It was basically a big house, and it had a showroom in it, and it was out in the middle of nowhere. And across the street from Mr. Rips, there was a farm that had sheep. There,
Yes.
But
I'm not making
literally
this up.
across the street, like you could
Remember
throw
that? It was
stones.
literally across the street. There was sheep across the street, and there was like they got bikers and they got a rough crowd in this joint. They got a rough crowd, and I have to preempt one story with another. So one night I go now. Also, Mr. Rips, a lot of people it was like a halfway house for criminals. They had rooms upstairs. They had rooms upstairs where they used to house guys that were getting out of prison and they were just, getting in back into society. So Mr. Rips would hire them to be cooks and do different things to work at the club. So I go in there one night. I go into Mr. Rips for the show, and the owner says to me, he goes, "Did you have dinner?" I go, "No." He goes, have the steak sandwich. You want the steak sandwich? I go, "Okay." And he goes, "Ask him for the steak sandwich." I go, "Okay." So I go to the cook. I says, how you doing tonight? He goes, hey, Billy. I says, I want the steak sandwich. He goes, he shakes his head like that. And I go, I don't want the steak sandwich. He goes, no, you don't want the steak sandwich. He goes, let me make this for you. Made me something else. It was like a meatball sandwich. He goes, much better choice. I go, okay. I ate the meatball sandwich. So then the owner comes up. He goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm having dinner. He goes, you didn't get the steak sandwich. I said, I told you to get the steak sandwich. The cook said the meatball was better. He goes, don't listen to him. He's a criminal.
That was Gabe, the Russian. Gabe, the
Now,
Russian.
one night I'm working Pips, and it's New Year's Eve. It's New Year's Eve, and I'm working there with T.J. Wells and some other act I can't remember. And T.J. is on stage bringing the acts up. He's hosting the show, and there was always a fight in that place. There was fights constantly. So this is New Year's Eve, and the bouncer who was there carried a gun, and he was also in bad shape that night. He was all beat up from a fight 2 nights before that at the club. So he said, look, he said, it's New Year's Eve. Everything's under control. He says, I'm going to take off. So the owner goes, okay, you could go. It's going to be fine. Leaves. TJ's on stage talking to some people he's talking to the crowd. So he's bringing me up. As I come up to the stage, a woman grabs a glass and she looks at it and she says to another woman, she goes, you son of a bitch. And she takes her glass and throws the drink at this woman, misses the woman, hits the guy next to the woman. This guy gets up and goes, you freaking bitch. And then hit this girl's boyfriend gets up. They start, the whole place goes. The whole place is in it.
This is as you're on your way onto the
stage. I'm on stage now. I'm getting to the stage. You go, hi, folks. How you doing? My show's just starting. The whole place is going into a brawl. It's in the middle of it, okay? There's chairs flying. There's crap. And I'm standing there. I'm just standing there watching this. And the owner is an Indian guy. He's going, do something, do something, do something. And I start calling the fight. I go, it's a right, it's a left, it's a fantastic throw. And this is happening. In the meantime, somebody calls the state police who were, I guess they were on readiness for that. And I would say within 6 minutes, maybe at least like 5-6 squad cars pull up and state troopers all get out with batons and they all come running into the club and they're blah, 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 blah. And everything stops. And the club, they said, everybody out. So they shut the club down. Everybody leaves and we're standing there and it's in ruins. I mean, everything's broken, chairs, tables, everything's busted. And the guy says to me, he goes, I cannot pay you. He said, no one paid, because nobody paid the check because the fight started just before I was the last act and we never got to the check spot. So the whole place had eaten, drank all night long. Nobody paid a check. And the guy was a sweetheart. And you know what? He paid every act. Like over the next couple of weeks, I got a check like once a month for like a couple of months and he was a really good guy.
Do you know his story? He was Russian. Gabe and his wife.
But there was a bunch of different people that owned it, wasn't there?
No, as far as I know, after the Schultz guys, not the Schultz guys, after the brothers sold it. Now, which brothers were they?
Originally, it was called Dubonnaise, right?
It was Dubonnaise. It was owned by 2 brothers, and they sold it. And this guy, Gabe, and his wife were both literally brain surgeons, but they were from Russia, and they couldn't work. They didn't have the right certification or something. And he's running this crap hole of a comedy club, and he's a brain surgeon. He was so nice, but he was very gruff.
And it was a very interesting group. I was chatting up one of the waitresses, hard to believe. And I
home with the waitress the way I always do. Warren Zevon.
And I said to her, so where are you from? And she goes, Persia. And I'm an idiot. I said, there's no country today called Persia. Does that mean you're from Iran? And she goes, F you. And she just walked away from me. I didn't talk to me. I guess I hit a nerve, and that was also Dubonnaise, a club where a comedian we all know, Jeff Zabrowski, did a bit where he did a flip. He was an atheist wrestling with God, and he was supposed to do a flip.
You're not real.
You're not real. And then he gets flipped by God, and he was off his mark, and he hit his head on the piano and knocked himself out.
Oh my
And he was
God.
lying there, unconscious. And one of the other acts was a ventriloquist, the late great Vinnie D'Antona, who walked over holding the dummy, George, and he leaned over with the dummy, and the dummy said, "Hey, Jeff, you okay?" It was surreal.
This is the business we're in, right?
This was the business we're in. Now,
That's why you love it.
I
That's why
love
you
it.
love it.
And I admire Billy. He keeps the old style alive, but it's just laugh after laugh. Everybody, all ages can love it. And he, when we're gone, people aren't going to remember the old actors and the old movies. And I think in a way, I keep it alive and you keep it alive. Billy certainly keeps it alive. He has a ridiculous bit that I haven't seen in a while. I love it. It makes me laugh. It's so creative. It's so silly. That's the point. Then
Are you going to make me do the Billy Hackmeister wheel now?
the Billy Hackmeister wheel. I want you to see this. He's going to we're not going to be technically adept here. And I'm explaining what's going on to our audio only listeners. But Billy Garan, who is a very good looking guy, staring right at us right now with a wonderful full head of hair. And
If you say so.
I say so. And he's going to go over and he's going to show us something. What do you call it? The Billy?
Well, my hair could get stuck in the wheel. It might come off, but go ahead.
Okay. What do you call it? The Billy Hackmeister wheel?
The Billy Hackmeister wheel. You know what? I took so much crap for, when what happened was, and yeah, you know what? I was watching all the other acts, as we all did. We were watching acts, and who was coming up? How did you get more work? How could you get more work? We were all competing for the same jobs. And I'm looking at that and I said, you know what? You're going to have to do something completely different than anybody else is doing. Something unique that, will do that for you. And so I started coming up with ideas and I built this thing, which was actually I'll do it for you first and then I'll explain it to you. So let's see if we can do the wheel. I think I got it behind me. Okay, so
there it is. That's the wheel.
I'll set this up for your viewers, okay? The idea behind this is that, okay, it's the movie Casablanca, and we do all the characters in the movie Casablanca. And let's get to it as quick as possible. Here we go.
For our viewers and listeners, it's a wheel that spins.
All right, are we ready? Here we go.
Here we go. Taking the cover off.
All right, sweetheart, listen, baby. Of all the gin joints, you have to walk into my place. But Rick, I can't. Then I look at I go, this is a crappy way to make a living, isn't it? Okay. We can't live, let him transit. Who has love transit? Listen. Rick, help me, Rick. Hide me. Don't let the fat man get me. It's Peter Lorre, isn't it good? Hide me. But Rick, but Rick, that happens. Okay.
He's doing impressions. He's sticking his head through
Fat man.
the wheel, spinning different characters.
Hold it. Listen, you'll never get him Casablanca live. I warn you. Rick, can Sam play our song? Sam, you play that song? Sam! All right, you varmint, you got it. Here we go. As time goes by. There you go, friends. The entire motion picture.
All right. That was wonderful.
It's so goofy. That's great.
It's a goofy thing.
And that's the hook. So people can say, oh, this guy was funny. Oh, what about the guy that did the wheel? That's somebody can hang their hat on.
Young people watching,
and spread
people watching or listening, go see Casablanca. You've got to know the movie. Older people know it.
It doesn't matter. You know what? I do this thing on cruise ships. I'm working on ships a lot, and it doesn't matter. The age group doesn't matter. They just love all that stuff. And I'm adding, actually, this year, I've got a guy right now. I'm building more props. I'm building more stuff for the stage because nobody did the only people doing props anymore, maybe, you know who I just ran into was the Wid.
The Wid.
The legendary Wid.
Yeah.
Now
Wow.
that guy is a character.
He's a
Okay.
character and he's terrific. Hey,
He's
Billy,
terrific.
can you help us do an advertisement for our very avant-garde sponsor that Jackie originally hooked up with? What a surprise.
I drank 3 of them before I came.
Yes, that explains a lot. Cycling Frog Cannabis Company is our sponsor, and they make flavored seltzer that includes THC and CBD, different strengths. They got the beginning level and they got the Martling level.
And it's great taste. And it doesn't have that aftertaste or it tastes like pot or tastes like hash. It's just like seltzer, only it has THC in it. And
You know what? I've been,
Here we go.
I'm a pot guy. I use it at night to sleep. And I'm going to tell you right now, every place I go to buy pot, it's always guys our age, and they're going, "Is this going to help me sleep? Will I get a good night's sleep?"
right.
And there's loads of older people. I don't see any young people. It's always older guys and women going, "Is this going to help me sleep? I need to sleep." So yeah,
But you know what it does? I never have trouble falling asleep, except after a couple hours, not always, but sometimes after 2, 3, or 4 hours, you wake up and can't go back to bed. I mean, can't go
Yes.
back to sleep. And if you drink some of this, you sleep right through. It relaxes you, you know.
And it's a nice buzz, and it's great to watch a movie after you've had one of these.
well, I
different
usually
flavors.
if I do
Wow,
my
Sherry.
vape, if I do my vapor, I do a seltzer. If I do a vapor seltzer, I'm watching TV at night, like just before, maybe 2 hours before bed. I'll just relax, chill out a little bit, and do a vape or maybe a seltzer.
All right, cyclingfrog.com, and this is impressive. We have a discount code. What is it, Jackie?
SUM20.
And that means 20% off. All you have to say when you order is SUM20 and a nice buzz.
You have to type it in, but it's capital S, capital U, capital M.
20.
Otherwise, it doesn't work.
20. It's got to be capital.
Stand Up Memories 20.
All right. Thank you, Cycling Frog Cannabis Company, cyclingfrog.com, our loyal sponsor, and we're loyal to
That's
them.
just enough. That is just enough pot for me at the point at the 5 point. That's what I like.
Right.
That's it.
Just right.
So tell us, you've been terrific. We want you on again. You going to come on again, please? Promise us.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, and you're always on the ships. Got anything to plug? Where are you going next?
I leave next Sunday. I will be on the Royal Caribbean's Odyssey of the Seas, and I'll be on that for 2 weeks.
All right.
I'll be on, and then I'm on for 1 week by myself. The second week, I'm bringing my wife on because she's going to come on with me for Christmas.
That's nice. Which week will you enjoy more?
Now, you don't go
By
on
myself.
and go for months at a time, right?
What?
You don't go for months at a time.
No, definitely not. I don't want any. For me, I enjoy it. It's phenomenal. I just really enjoy it. But in small doses, just like the general public would want it. Like a week here, a week there. If I do a week a month, I'm happy. 2 weeks is a little bit too much for me and I can't do any more than that.
Oh, well, listen.
But some guys get on and, I'll see
They're
you
gone.
in 1993. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I know quite a few people like that, but you know what?
1993 is
If
actually
that's
I
your,
know.
yeah. You know what? It's like anything else. You have to develop a lifestyle that caters to that. If that becomes your lifestyle, that's fine. But you have to learn how to live on a ship for I still like my land stuff too. So I like to ship once or twice a month, and the rest of the time I'm on land.
Well,
working.
Billy Garan, Garan. Everybody watching on whatever platform or listening on
And
whatever platform.
you guys tell your listeners if they want to hire Billy Garan and know more, go to billygaran.com.
All right.
Garan. billygaran.com.
Garan, Billy
Oh, yeah.
Garan.
Gotcha.
And he's so funny and fast laughs and funny laughs, and he keeps the old ways alive. And but he's new too, because I watch you and I haven't heard this.
I worked Mr. Rips. I have so many tapes from Mr. Rips, but I don't remember hearing the fight story because I thought, because if the room got really quiet, they say, oh, the room, it was like crickets. Only instead of crickets, it was sheep. You could literally hear them, which was
All I ever heard was the
Speaking of
sheep.
quiet rooms, one last story, real quick. I was working the comedy club at the Riviera in Las Vegas, and at that time it was being run by Steve Sharippa.
right.
Okay, now Sharippa, as you know, is now on. He's on Blue Bloods. He's got an acting career, but at that time he was the entertainment manager at the Riviera Hotel. So I'm in the room one night waiting to go on. There's a comic on the stage before me, and he's dying. He's dying. And Sharippa walks in. There's no laughter. The comics were sitting in the back, and Sharippa turns and he goes, I think I'll bring my paperwork in here. It's nice and quiet.
Good for him. BillyGaran.com. Thank you
Okay.
so much, man.
Thanks,
We'll
Bill.
do it again.
Thank you, guys.